it right now.
Hey everybody!
Come on and get it right now.
Whoa! How am I hearing that?
What's up?
There
I don't
we
know
go.
how you're hearing that.
I don't know. Plus had two windows open. Sorry about that, folks.
Potentially.
We were just talking about how much we love our intro, which was made to us by a fan a while ago. But yes, I saw Zarker popped in,
Yeah?
and we're not displaying any longer in the talk. Very weird.
That is strange.
Oh, you know what? Because I started the stream in the other channel. Let's start the other channel.
Yeah.
All right. So how's everybody doing today? As everybody always comes in, it's like, oh, meta show. Like, no, that's not for another hour.
But we'll entertain you up until that point.
We're your entertainment till then. And we're going to talk about H1Z1. And we actually have some things to talk about.
A little bit about H1Z1, yeah. Sorry?
We actually have some stuff to talk about.
A little bit.
And I'm going to go see if I can drag Zarker down if he wanted to be in here, but I don't see him. He disappeared. So Zarker, if you're out there, just pop back into the H1 channel. I'll drag you down. Alrighty. So what are we going to talk about today, McLeod? You had a lot of stuff to talk about.
Well, I've been kind of writing a piece for Imperium.news at the moment. That's turned into a larger piece than I thought it was going to be. Typically because when I start doing something, I tend to go too in depth into every single thing, and I need someone to basically, I need that classic kind of image, that classic like internet meme where like you see that cat's paw kind of go across and just like, it's time to stop posting now. Like I kind of need like a cat like that basically goes, yeah, like let's gloss over the details. Yeah,
let's gloss over the
details. I need a little cat like that.
I think you were a little closer to the mark when you were about to say, I tend to go a little too far.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably have 3 stories in there though, so that'll be good.
But essentially it's like kind of like cataloging my kind of experiences over the last year and a half of being part of H1Z1 in terms of being in a large group, being part of organizing a large group, and then also being part of moderating a Tranquility whitelist server. So
okay, sounds cool.
It's cool. But yeah, essentially that's pretty much what it was.
I've got too many screens going on. So so what are we talking about in H1 today, now that I can actually see the chat because I'm not freaking everything out?
Well, Landon's kind of settling into his position at the moment. They put out a little kind of let's see what it is. Like a little update as such, which has gotten a lot of positive upvotes, as it were, which is good. I'll just link it in chat.
That would be good.
Quickly. That's the one. Yeah, I mean, not really much, not many specifics at all in that kind of thing, but like, it does show that they are like progressing on a build, and they'll have one out on the test server soon, for us to kind of basically nitpick and essentially try and break. But yeah, it does say specifically. I know it's not a great hearing soon all the time, but like, he wants to get things back on track. So,
yeah, I read that from him too. There was, it's a challenge, right? So the real question is, from a daybreak perspective, have they missed the boat on H1, right? For the Just Survive piece.
I don't think they have, because like I've done a bit of sort of retrospective like thinking in terms of writing this piece for Imperium News, and I get the distinct impression that a lot of the people who play King of the Kill and just King of the Kill are quite casual players. They kind of like come and go. They're not really they may play it, but then unless they're devoted to it in a sort of a streaming kind of sense, they kind of they flip and flop between King of the Kill or CS:GO or all the other kind of FPS titles.
Right.
A lot of the Just Survive players, like, although they're probably the first to kind of go onto Reddit to be negative about a patch that's terrible, they tend to stick around. They tend to stay in touch to some degree and come back to the game when when a new patch kind of breaks and this and the other. So I have hope. I have hope that the core Just Survive kind of community still keeps in touch.
Yeah, I mean, and that's an argument that was actually put forth on Reddit that I was reading the other day. And the question is, right? There's a window of opportunity for games, and when Just Survive came out, they had 16,000 people playing it on average in a given time, right? Now that population has significantly dwindled, right, to almost a 16th of that.
Well, you also have to understand that those numbers are Just Survive and King of the Kill combined, because that's when the game when they take those numbers sort of at the start or sort of at start / midpoint ish of the game, they were still one and the same game. They weren't two separate titles on Steam, for example. So you kind of have to look at that and kind of go, well, what's the kind of following if you add Just Survive and King of the Kill kind of numbers together currently?
But even if you take half of that at 8,000, right? And now you're down to an eighth of that, essentially, right? Your challenge then becomes, are new games coming out that are going to get the players' interest while they have essentially fumbled the ball with and it wasn't like a single patch fumble, right?
It's never a single patch fumble.
Yeah, they've been fumbling for a number of patches, months.
Fair few patches, fair few months.
3-4 months they've been having some challenges, and this one was sort of the catastrophe. This last patch, right? And people have just very much stopped.
It felt very much like the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like that.
The patch before this one, you at least had 5 or so servers at high pop at the very beginning trying to grab land, really working through the process. This time, people came in, saw the issue, and it just was a nosedive. Right? Even with some of the challenges that we had a couple patches ago, people were energized and played the game. I think they're really going to have to do something interesting to bring people back. We're going into the holidays. A lot of new games are going to be coming out, new game systems. People are going to be distracted, and it may not be good for their timing. Then again, could be great. I love the game. I mean, I love the Just Survive side of the game. A lot of fun. I enjoy it. But I've noticed they've turned zombies almost way down. I don't know if you've noted that on Just Survive.
On Just Survive, sort of, but if you do get caught with a zombie, it does. They do hurt quite significantly in comparison to the last fight. You don't see that many zombies, but if you do get caught by a zombie, it's it does hurt. I'm not kind of sure whether that's just a fumbling in terms of numbers on a database or not, or whether that was an intentional kind of change. I have no idea. But
yeah, I mean, even last weekend, right, when I was playing, I could hang around in a general area just even as a single player, and I could pull in 10 or 12 zombies very quickly. right?
Yeah.
I played all morning today, and not a single zombie did I see.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean
That's
it's
pretty crazy.
they did
Dropped
something, and
out.
I'm not sure why.
It's interesting. It's kind of interesting, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm kind of using Steam charts right now, just kind of looking in terms of the numbers
Hmm.
from what I said before. Like, after they, like, I mean, I'm going on essentially, where would it be? I think I screwed it up. From March 2016.
Hmm.
Like, if I'm going from March 2016, yeah, March 2016, King of the Kill was around about the sort of 19,000, 19,500, and Just Survive at that time was at about 8,000. So I don't know. Like that's what, like 27,000 versus today, which is kind of like 2.5 and 21. So yeah, there has been a drop, definitely.
Hmm.
You can pretty much say that like it hasn't been King of the Kill, because King of the Kill numbers in March were 19, and right now it's kind of like around about the 20 to 21. So they've actually increased in terms of player retention. So yeah, Justified has kind of dropped significantly in numbers, and you can kind of see that from the charts.
Oh,
So
we have a new
yeah.
follower. Night Hunter is following. It's a great opportunity.
Hey.
Hey, if you not only the Undead Zone, we do a number of shows here on TMC. The Meta show is
Mhm.
coming up next. If you'd like to follow, some of the streamers that are on the channel itself, follow it. You'll get announcements. Also, if you've got Amazon Prime, which will probably pop up here, yep, it's up there in the chat at the very top. If you've got Amazon Prime and you hook it to your Twitch.prime, you have one free station, essentially, because I like to call this a station rather than, just a Twitch channel.
Going old school.
Yeah, station. You can support this channel by subscribing to it, and you support all the streamers and everything that goes on when you do that. So that's just my
Yes, you do.
thing. So that's our station identification and pitch for money.
Well, it's hard to pitch for money, but
Yeah, no, I mean we really don't get
if
paid. I work for
if
Birdseed.
you exactly if you'd like to donate, that'd be great, because then we can funnel that donation back into doing sort of prizes and sort of raffles for various different stuff, which we'd really like to do. But I mean, it's completely up to you guys as to whether you want to do that or not. It's your money
Absolutely.
after all. But yeah, I'm back onto H1,
Yes.
as it were. It's kind of funny that you were talking about how zombies have kind of died down a little bit in terms of on H1Z1, because pretty much the starting paragraph on my article is like, essentially it says some of you may know what H1Z1 is, some of you may not. If you're new to the zombie survival genre, then you may not have heard of H1Z1. I can understand why, and I'll get into this. But H1Z1 stated as a zombie survival game, or at least it claims to be in that genre.
Well, I mean, they did turn zombies
But-
way up, and they made them a lot more challenging. I think they've noticed since their pop has been down, they needed to adjust that zombie generation because it was just overwhelming.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I'd hate to know what the former zombie generation would have been like with the inclusion of them being able to attack bases, because
Ugh.
that was pretty hardcore. Like on the test server when they had that there, it was pretty hardcore. But I mean, eventually I'd love to see it. I would love to see sort of the actual kind of implementation of that working as it should, rather than how it is at the moment, where it just attacks it randomly for no reason whatsoever.
Not that I want to see new features in H1, right? Because I really don't want to see new features. I really want to see them refine what they've got out there. The last patch, I mean, made even going through inventory, moving things between storage containers, all of that horrible. It's
I
almost
did
unplayable.
catalog some of them.
Right.
Yeah. I did catalog some of the serious bugs, and like when you actually go through the list of the major ones, it's like there's almost no part of the gaming experience that you don't have to deal with a bug of some form, which kind of makes you like just be like, God damn it.
Yep.
You know, it's like literally, it's like a death of 1,000 paper cuts. I kind of described it sort of somewhat to, which, I mean, to be completely honest, like, you know, I say death of 1,000 paper cuts, like, I don't think Just Survive will end up dying because of such a thing, but like, you know, it's always nice to sort of use that kind of rhetoric, that kind of language in an article.
Yeah, and I was a little tough on the fumbles because we're in football season, right? Earlier in the game, but Nopi Veras, right, said this game had potential, and he's absolutely right, right? And if they come back, if they come back with a fantastic fix to all this crap that is bad, and they see people come back, right, and then they start adding cool stuff, this could still be a really cool game.
Yeah. I'd actually kind of like to know, bearing in mind that we have a few people in the audience and stuff, because there were a few kind of pain points that I kind of mentioned at the end of the article. I mean, you'll be able to read it at its length because it's quite long on Imperium.news. But like, there were three kind of main, like, they're not critical kind of points. They're not like points that kind of, they're not issues that at the moment affect the quality of life. Okay. But they're like deep-rooted kind of issues in Just Survive that kind of need to be addressed at some point, because, you know, they have to, like, they will kind of stop the game from kind of progressing in some way, shape, or form. The first one, where's my thing? Where's the first one? The first one is wipe cycles. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, to most people, you know, you kind of go, well, what's wrong with wipe cycles? Well, the issue there is the fact that it's meant to be a persistent MMO, and if you're wiping all players' stuff every, you know, month, 2 months, it's not persistent anymore. And the problem with the wipe cycles is that, like, everything is like the community, the whole community is kind of like focal point is that one day. You know, it's kind of like you have to resecure what you either had on lockdown before, or you have the potential to, you know, take what you were trying to take beforehand. You know, it's essentially, and if you don't do it, then it's kind of like, then it's sort of like, you know, it's almost like game over until the next wipe cycle, pretty much. You know, you do a few other things to kind of keep people involved, etc., and, you know, if you've got the place on lockdown, you have that advantage of being able to just farm stuff and then raid people off servers and stuff. But like, essentially what it comes down to is that single day. So, you know, eventually it just comes down to that, and whatever you do in that regard, it's like, you know, the whole play style is based on that single day. And it's not something that, like, occurs due to game mechanics. It occurs due to the fact that, you know, the developers have to go in there and physically make a change.
Right.
Which speaks to the longevity. It speaks to the kind of the repetitive, the replayability of the game, and that, you know, that needs to be kind of addressed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I always looked at the wipe cycles as something that I expected during an alpha or pre-alpha or whatever you want to call it. It is not something that, you are right, could continue through a regular release, right? Won't work.
No.
They need to develop objects in the game, and mainly I think they wipe because of the build objects. But they need to find a way that when they make modifications to this, that it doesn't destroy everything.
Exactly. And that speaks to, like, what Novaris is saying, like, you know, you kind of need to create the opportunities for the smaller groups, for the smaller people to be able to enact some form of change on the server without the developers having to come in and physically wipe everything to be able to give you that kind of opportunity. So they kind of need to do that in some way. Like, they need to put together some aspects or some kind of, like, either change or introduce some kind of things, or a mixture of the both. Probably preferably both, to kind of mix it up a little bit, but not to the point where the actual act of doing things in a group becomes pointless or becomes, of no value, because then you break the whole idea of it being a persistent MMO.
Right. And
you might as well be king of the kill at that point.
Yeah, Nope Varus brings up probably one of the biggest challenges for any MMO that has a persistent universe, kind of like, or as H1Z1 intends, as Eve does, things like that, right?
Yeah.
It becomes ruled by, servers become ruled by big clans, right? And there's really no place for the small group or a player trying to break into the game. That's just a challenge from game design that is...
It's extremely difficult.
I mean, there are some things that you don't want small organizations to be able to do because you can't, right? The blob generally wins, right?
There should be some aspects of the game where, like, large, having friends should... There should be a part of the game where having friends is an advantage,
Persistent
but
universes.
there should also be...
Okay.
But but the other thing is there should be disadvantages for having large groups of friends as well, but not really crowbarring in some really dodgy kind of reason why certain people can't have large groups than this or that and the other. But, like, something that makes sense, that's logical, that's natural. But then again, kind of developing that sort of thing is really difficult. Like, I mean, even CCP, who've been, doing this consistently for what, like 12, 15 years, something like that. Like, they haven't got it down to an art yet. They're still struggling with what is called the what is it called? The I forget the name. One of the CSMs actually had a Mal'Canis. Like, back in the day, in Eve, Mal'Canis was a member of the CSM for several CSMs, I think, and one of his sayings, from all his knowledge that he gained from the game and being in the CSM, is that more often than not, changes that are pitched as to help the small groups, the little guys, are actually more powerful when utilized by large groups.
Absolutely.
And that's ended up being known in Eve circles as Mal'Canis's law. And that, for some reason, it just seems to happen again and again and again. It's fun when it happens.
Yeah, it's going to happen in any type MMO. I mean, it's just the way it is. And Anarchy mentions small groups don't have a chance to fight against large groups, right? I mean,
yeah.
And Eve does it with a SOV structure, whereas in H1 you've built a base, right?
Yeah.
And in order to make bases at least somewhat penetrable, right? The method of building that they have is pretty much, if you're a big group, you're going to pretty much be able to blow up anybody you want. And if you're a large group, you're going to be able to build a mega base that is so big that it doesn't matter how much explosives you bring, you're not going to find everything. And you're going to waste a tremendous amount.
But then again, you have to kind of think, like, large groups have that ability to be able to put the pressure on those small groups a lot quicker in the game. So it's kind of like you have to be very, very crafty indeed to be able to put together a mega base that can kind of provide that level of security through obscurity, right? Like, so many doors that you have no idea how many they are, and it's going to take so much explosive to go through it all that you won't find it.
You're going to get some, but you're not going to get it all.
Exactly.
Right.
And we utilized the same kind of that aspect when we made a 9-10 temp mega base,
Right.
and it worked quite well.
Yeah, I mean, it was rated, but they
It
never
was
got
rated
the
like
good
3 or 4
stuff.
times, man. Never got the good stuff.
Never got the good stuff, right? Because they could never find out where that was. So, you know, I mean, it's just the nature of large versus small. Now, a small group is going to have a horrible time trying to create a mega base and even finding the land to do that. And the challenge you have with that is the size of that map. There's no place on that map that can be far away. In Eve,
No.
you can be far away, right?
If you can be super far away.
You can be far away from people who are really going to try and attack you. And if you don't need to use the full benefit of sob structure, there's places that are relatively more safe that a lot of people don't even want to mess with, right? You don't have that construct in a map the size you have in H1. You just don't.
No. Especially not the one that we have with Just Survive. Like, at the moment, the King of the Kill one is actually quite significantly... Like, it feels... I'm not sure whether it actually truly is significantly larger, but it does feel significantly larger, which can play a significant kind of role in that. There's a lot more terrain that can be utilized. There's a lot more kind of... There at least feels as though there's a lot more... like there's... It doesn't feel like there's going to be just that kind of specific loot at that one place on the map. It feels like it's going to be in multiple areas, like all the time. So, like for example, you know, at the moment on Just Survive, the Bumjik Farms kind of area has the majority of the fertilizer. You know, fertilizer being the mainstay of being able to make, you know, to making gunpowder and, you know, IEDs eventually. From what it feels like and from what it seems on the King of the Kill, like Z2 Zone 2 map, which we will eventually be getting, but like who knows when. There are multiple farms in so many different locations on the map. So, you know, there's a potential that you know, the strategic kind of stuff is not going to be in a single place. So
yeah, so the have you ever read
the next map?
Yeah, have you ever read the Riverworld series of books by Philip Jose Farmer?
Don't think I have. No.
Okay. Well, I think you would love them. Number one, and anybody who's watching who hasn't, they are incredibly titled books. There's 4 of them. I think they brought them back into print. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm using this as an example because number one, I'd love a Riverworld game on the concept of an open world. Essentially, it's a river that zigzags back and forth around a science fiction type world. Everybody from the beginning of time to a certain date is born there again, and you can't get out of the river valley. The mountains are too high. And there's almost no resources to build things, but you're fed and everything, and it's kind of cool, and everybody wakes up one day. So, as you go through the river, people get later in time, but there's a percentage of people from all time periods in the world scattered throughout, okay? So if you're at the beginning of the river, most people are from the very beginning of time, Cro-Magnon type things, right? But even within that population, there's some people from the very modern times, okay? And so forth throughout, right?
In there.
So, so think of this as moving from room to room to room, right? Server to server to server, very much like we go through Eve. A solar system is essentially its own internal game server, right? You're really just moving from the game server to game server. Right, or server process, right? For the IT guys that know it's not a physical server, right? Picture attaching around this world gates, as if you go to the mountains where the tunnels are, and then you go through that tunnel, and you're going to go into a different world, right? And picture going from lawful to very lawless on the edges. And being circled with a set of servers as lawless, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like it's kind of like a Danish, right? You start in the middle. Hey, it's a lawful town. Nobody can really die there. And as you go out toward the circular edges, they're bands of lawlessness as you go out.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I get that.
And picture it being many servers combined together. Okay, so that server processes, and the map is far larger, right? That is, I mean, if they were able to do something like that, it would be
kind of interesting,
amazing,
like what,
right?
like in sort of Just Survive sort of thing, like.
Right, and I kind of use the linear going down the river, right? You're going down room to room to room, different time period in time, but as you go out, you get different things. And as you go out, so maybe, you know, you're not going to find any bullets in the center, right? And you're not going to find any guns. You've got to go to lower security to get bullets and guns, right?
And you got to go to the more lawless kind of areas to be able
Right.
to get it and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And to the point where on the outside, your larger clans, but by the way, they're on the outside. And as you go toward that outside and graduate to that outside, the inner levels become unavailable to you. Okay, so you can't cut through the middle of this to get to the other side of the circle.
Go kind of around.
You got to go around the circle to get to people. So if you're at opposite points on the circle on the outside, you've got to fight around the circle to get to each other, or be allowed to pass through land to get. And that could present an interesting dynamic, I think, in this game. In any battle game, actually.
Yeah, it could do, because it kind of it's the classic case of like you're not like you're kind of indirectly affecting, you know, your potential your potential avenues of like movement. So like depending on what you do. So yeah, pretty good, pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting, but of course we got to fix the very basic things in the game before we can move it towards something. But could you imagine? I mean, no other game would offer you that, and it's not easy to get to your enemies either. Right? You just can't run for 10 minutes and get all the way across
and get
the
to
map.
your enemy. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the challenges that the smaller groups have. But there's at least places for them to go to get a little less lawless to grow. And the larger clans, as they move out toward the lawless areas, right? Hopefully that's where they would graduate to. It kind of insulates them from some of the smaller groups. Insulates the smaller groups from them, per se.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot more into that. That is really I was sitting here
It's a good starting point, definitely.
earlier in the week, and I'm like, what could solve some of these issues, right? Not necessarily, never solve it in Eve, but in this area it could. I don't want to solve it in Eve.
You kind
I
of
want Eve
partially
to be
like
what it is.
Like Eve kind of works partially like that, but like there's a lot of like loopholes to it that basically allow people to just be able to completely circumvent it entirely. So like, yeah.
Well, what Eve has for it is the distance, right?
Yeah.
And obviously I don't like Fozzie Sov in any way, shape, or form. I love ADMs. I actually like ADMs. I don't like Sov wanding, and Tosis is a piece of shit. Okay?
Well, you know, the really funny thing about the whole kind of Sov-based thing is they always said that like, oh yeah, well the ADM kind of thing will be, you know, initially will be, you know, what kind of constitutes whether the system's difficult or like hard or easy to kind of to get. But they always said that they were going to iterate upon it and put more things into it that will add to whether the system will be easy or difficult. It wouldn't just be those things, but they seem to have just kind of gone, well, can't be asked.
Because it's terrible.
Like,
it's a terrible idea.
Seriously.
Come on, remember?
It's a terrible idea, but that's because it's a half-assed idea at the moment. Like, you know, at least flesh it out. At least, you know, bring all the cards to the table. Don't kind of go, you know, if you've got a full house, like, you know, in your hand, and you're playing, you don't put down a put down a pair of like jacks or something like that, do you? You put down a full house. Well, you know, you put down two jacks, you might as well just, you know, throw your hand away.
Yeah, I have a sneaky suspicion to think that some people in CCP have realized that Entosis sucks for the game, which is why it was stopped in relation to Citadels. I'm not sure I like damage capping either, but that's a different thing. But it's a good example of when game companies say, "This is my path," right? And then they don't deliver on it. That is really when they're customers, right? They're really customers.
Yeah,
they're
kind
not
of
game players.
you have a moment of you can't like reflection as to whether these people will actually be able to deliver what you want to play.
Right.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
So that's essentially what happens.
And this is where Daybreak is right now with Just Survive. They've had a terrible fumble. And it's, do they get up, dust themselves off, and get the ball back? That's where they are. And they've got to sit here and say, okay, I'm fixing my fundamentals and be successful at fixing them. And then that will work on getting their audience back, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they can build my grand scheme of the great circular empire.
Well, I think there is potential for that because, you always have that kind of... Like on the maps, even on Z2, you have these areas where like you have tunnels going into the mountains, which are blocked off and stuff. So like, I can kind of see potentially long way down the road them having multiple versions of maps and kind of tying them together, maybe sort of jumping from server to server when you go through these. It's a little bit sort of like Mario-esque, sort of like jumping onto the green tube and kind of going down into the bonus level, as it were.
Absolutely.
But there's no shame in kind of paying homage to the roots of good gameplay.
Absolutely. And some of the other stuff that I've been reading up on, and it's one of the things that have bothered me too. But again, in a pre-alpha game, I expect things like this, right? Where, hey, you've only got a very limited set of housing layouts, right? And there's like 5, somewhere around that, right? And everything's the same everywhere you go. Hey, Caleb, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Caleb.
Saw him this morning. So...
the kind of funny thing is, like on the Z2 map, I know you haven't played much of the Z2 map, but like
no, I haven't.
They have different houses there, like 2-story, 1-story houses, all that kind of thing. Same sort of thing, but like the variety is a lot like the variety in the layout and also in the kind of styling is all a lot different as well. But there are some kind of comical situations where they've obviously got some kind of randomized sort of way of how the houses are put together and stuff. But there are some really, how I would say, very illogical room placements in a house. Like, for example, you walk in the only back door in the house and you're in the bathroom.
Yeah, I know. That is so bizarre.
And the only door out of the bathroom to get to the main, like there's only one door that goes through the bathroom to the back door kind of thing. And there's 2 huge windows like looking straight into the bathroom. They're kind of going, yeah, that ain't gonna happen in a real house.
Hey,
no one's gonna buy that.
Yeah, I want to thank Lucius Demeter. It'll come up in a little bit here. Yeah, he's subbed with his Amazon Prime. So thank you very much for supporting the station.
Cheers, Lucius.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate that. There's HypnoKitty. Yay.
Hey, HypnoKitty.
So, in fact, I saw him pop up. This is kind of wild. I saw it pop up in the chat, but I didn't even see it on my local machine until a long time afterwards. So there must be a little delay in there.
That's strange. That's very strange.
Maybe it's all the jobs that I'm running through, because I'll share a little Eve thing. I made a mistake in Eve. And I have been...
You made a mistake in Eve.
Yeah, constantly just fixing up a bunch of blueprints so when I had a bunch of materials, I could run them.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I made those blueprints, rather than one blueprint with 200 runs, I was building 200 blueprints with one run.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is I've never done that before, but I'm sitting here going, and I finally had so many items. There were too many items to hold. Not in,
I hate that. Yeah.
in Eve. And so I am clicking them through on their little 5-minute run this morning with 2 characters. I'm like, not my thing. I like things happening in the background and building while I'm like on fleets.
Yeah, I used to get that sometimes if I had like a container with like bookmarks, because I used to make bookmarks, like bookmark packs for people for certain things, and like if you'd kind of selected everything, including that bookmark container, and just like repackage all without thinking, it would obviously dump all of those bookmarks out, and you'd just end up having an absolute ton of bookmarks, which are all just like, it's just literally one bookmark token or one, thingy token, whatever. And it's just like, it litters everything. And you're just there kind of going, oh my God, what have I done? Yeah. So I know how you feel in that regard. Done that a few times.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, "Oh man, I just got to get rid of these." And by the way, with a short run, you just got to sit there. But during the game, it's kind of a thing to do. So I am clicking a little bit here.
Well, the good aspect of you having 200 blueprint copies with one run means you can literally win in the length of time of one run. You can make 200 things.
No, because you're limited to what, 10 or 11 slots, whatever it is. I'm limited to 10 slots. This is
for one character, but like you can have multiple characters. Like you're not multiplexing enough, man. You need to do that.
I'm doing it with 2 characters, okay? That's good. Notice I didn't say tunes.
Good.
Characters, because Tuzzy already yelled at me because I had succumbed to the tune genre. He yelled at me.
Not tunes. We're not 5 years old.
Still trying to figure out if he rejected me or just yesterday or not. I don't know. I gotta see.
He's being a bitch.
No, he's a great guy. No, he is. I mean, that Jisoo and everybody in that has really been helpful to us. Very nice people.
Yeah.
Very nice people.
Jisoo are like silent heroes. That's what they are.
Yeah, and I'm working on my article too for the Imperium News, and it's why am I a member of the Imperium and not some other organization? Because everybody hates goons, right? They're terrible, they're nasty, and it's gonna be interesting the take that I take on that.
You know the strange kind of aspect of like why I'm in Imperium and not in another group?
Yeah.
Is it actually went all the way down to like I was at a crossroads as to whether to join one group or another group. They were essentially they were like both the 2 kind of corporations that I was kind of looking at were previously in Morsus Mihi, but they both went different ways, right? It essentially came down to deciding. I couldn't really choose like whether to go one group, whether to go the other group, and the whole Benghazi kind of thing occurred, where Vile Rat lost his life and stuff. And it was kind of funny because like obviously it was a very tragic incident, and there was a lot of sympathy and a lot of outpouring from the Eve community. But it was funny because I was watching this and I was kind of going, the group that literally it was like one group that I ended up going and being a part of, showed solidarity and showed some compassion about it. The other group, completely numb. They were like completely numb to it whatsoever. And it was just like, it was a moral decision at the end of the day. I was just like, you know what, I don't want to be in a group that, doesn't have any kind of moral conscience whatsoever.
There are...
Like you can be nasty people in game, but like when it comes down to sort of things like that, you just show a little bit of a bit of heart. And so that was kind of that's what made me choose a group that's in Imperium rather than not. This is really strange.
Yeah, my initial step into Goons was I was leaving my other corp. I had it. One of the guys that was in the corp with me had a dual character over here. He was already headed that direction, so I just went with, right? And a long time friend from college, you're gonna follow that. Was a little apprehensive about joining a group that I had heard so much about. And heard so much that was wrong. And that's not really I don't do propaganda. Those who know me in real life, I don't do propaganda. I don't really play the political game. What you see is really what you get. Sometimes I'm a dick, sometimes I'm a nice guy, but when it comes down to everybody is at some point in their life, but when it comes down to it, it's just there's no need to play people. That's just not my style, right? So it'll be an interesting article. I'm sure I'll get the "you're just propaganda" stick, right? But it'll be interesting to see. Hey, we've got about 15 minutes left. What are some of the other topics? Was there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to get out in the show?
Not kind of really. I had a few other kind of points. There's a lot of points in the article that I wrote, but I think.
What is it, like 15 pages, 20 pages now?
With it, so yeah, just gloss over that. It'll probably be edited down to a few tweets or something like that. It'll be fine.
Are you Tolkien? No. Because he was a little wordy too.
He was wordy to the point where he actually ended up making languages. I'm not going to go that far.
Well, he was a linguist,
Well, yeah, but there's being a linguist, and then there's forcing linguistics on other people. I ain't going down that path.
Hold on, we got a couple things here. You excited about MPE? Oh, that's Eve. Yeah, no, because I'm not a new player. I don't care. I think
the one thing which I just want to quickly interject here, Eric.
Yeah, go ahead.
I haven't done the relevant Google searches for this, but did they say that part of the MPE they were actually going to do some voice acting? There's going to be some actual voice, some voice acting in the MPE at some point, or was that something that I thought I saw or just believed? I don't know. I thought that at some point somewhere there on the new MPE there was aspects of voice acting, so you don't have to constantly be reading what you need to be doing. All the instructions and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't hear that. So when we talk about, I'll tell you what, and we talk about MPE, the new player experience, right? Either from an EVE aspect or any video game. If it is a multiplayer based game, the best new player experience is how you introduce new players to the game, to the community that's out there and other players, and get them involved. If you as a game can facilitate that piece, okay, you're going to keep people around and make them adapt to the game more quickly and have a better time.
Yes, Caleb was just saying that, that there is a new voice acting and a new voice for Aura, so that'd be pretty cool. Because I always thought it was a bit really super old school that every single interaction with anyone else, other than using the sort of in-game communication kind of stuff on chat windows. I always found it very strange that every interaction with the PvE kind of elements were always script based, they were always text based. I always thought that was very old school, but very outdated as well. It felt like I was playing something like Montezuma's Revenge again or something.
And by the way, I just missed one. I was looking at 5 things.
Oh, Close and Fire.
Yes, Close and Fire. Thank you very much for the subscription during the during the show here. We appreciate that on Twitch Prime. As a reminder to everybody who's coming into the channel new, if you've got Amazon Prime, you can connect it to your Twitch Prime. The link does pop up every so often here in the chat.
It's free.
And it is free to you. You pay no additional money to become a sponsor of the channel.
I mean, Twitch, like not Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime costs what it costs. Like you get the advantages of, Amazon Prime, regardless of, it's not like it's an additional cost onto your Amazon Prime. It's just it's bundled into it. So that's a really cool thing.
Yep. So,
all right, cool. So
we got 10 minutes. We've got the meta show coming up. So if anybody here is into Eve, make sure you stay for the meta show. Understand it's just another show here on the channel. It's just one point of view that we provide. So, if you want to go and spew some hate in the chat there, go ahead. But if you want to enjoy, I just enjoy the meta show for what it is. It's one of my favorite shows, actually.
I enjoy the meta show. You need to, you always take it like, it's a point of view on Eve, obviously, from the sort of Imperium perspective. But like, there's entertainment value in it, most definitely. There's Boat, and I've always kind of enjoyed Boat in a sort of strange way, which I think a lot of other people don't kind of understand because he's quite loud and quite outspoken. But like, I find him entertaining. So
I love loud and outs. I love that. You know what? So, Eve Boat is a big personality. Okay?
Yeah.
And that makes it fun. That's my honest comment on it. That's what makes it fun.
The funnest fleets that I've been on have been boat fleets, strangely enough. Like, a lot of people may not kind of like him because of how crazy he is or how brash he is and that kind of thing. And, but... don't take it so seriously. Just chill out and have fun.
Space Mexican's here. Space Mexican in the house. Thanks for tuning in, Space. You can always hop down, too, if you want. Oh, there he is. He's in the chat. Why can't we hear him?
I don't know. He's probably being very silent, which is very unlike...
There he is. Hey, Space. How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's up, guys?
By the way, just as Space popped in, if you come into the Imperium Discord and you message McLeod or I, we can drag you down here. Space can just pop in because he's, God power or something. But he gives people special favors.
I know some people.
You know a guy. You know a guy
that knows a guy.
There are things that occurred at the after party after TwitchCon that we won't speak about. That
yes, we will not.
Given him special.
let's just say it was me, Gommel, in his wheelchair, and shit was going down. That's for sure.
There's a whole picture in my mind based on those words that really, when you get that earworm in the morning, the song you can't get rid of. This, I'll never get rid of this. Oh my god!
Certain aspects of sort of Scary Movie 2 kind of come into mind, and I don't know why.
Yep.
But moving on.
Yeah, I wanted to stop by real quick and just let everybody who's watching know that I am always on Discord, typically in the evening Pacific time, and on the weekends running all kinds of different games and group games. So whoever wants to drop in, I know McLeod runs like some H1Z1, death squads on King of the Kill in the morning because he lives in, I think, like England or something. So and I come on the back end. So if you guys want to get into H1Z1 King of the Kill or anything of that nature, just come and play with a bunch of people. Swing by the Discord. Everybody's invited, and it's absolutely free.
It's free. That's right. And on Wednesdays too, just like you do, Space, and McLeod does a lot too. And McLeod's there, and you're obviously invited, Space. Anybody is. We on Wednesdays we've been doing things like Overwatch or World of Warships, just groups getting on Discord and getting in the Discord channel, even just to be to watch and comment. But bringing people into Discord to be part of the shows, I mean, I think that's cool.
I want to step it up one more level. I want to start like some Hot Wing Wednesday gaming, some Taco Tuesday gaming, you know.
Taco Tuesdays.
Yeah, and
Taco
we'll just
Tuesdays.
sit down and drink some beers and tacos and play games together. That'd be fun, I think.
That sounds cool, man. I like that. I like that a lot.
I've been getting into Battlefield. So if anybody's getting into Battlefield
Ooh.
1, hit me up because damn, that game is fun.
I hear it's awesome. I just didn't buy the advanced copy thing. I'm waiting for the.
You know what? I did the subscription, the $4.99 subscription, and I thought it said like, oh, you can play 10 hours, but it's only the solo play. So
That sucks.
Oh,
So I started
multiplayer is
playing-
just like unlimited.
I think so. And then I started playing, and then I bought the $80, whatever, early access, just because I was impatient and I don't want to wait. I've been having a blast, dude. The new maps, it's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man. Like, I've been checking out a few of the streams on it on Twitch TV, and it's been it's been pretty awesome. Like watching the kind of gameplay on it and stuff. So yeah, it's been really cool.
Hey, we've got 5 minutes to the meta show. Just to remind everybody who's tuning in that it is coming up very shortly.
Meta show in 5 6
So,
minutes.
Space, were you here earlier when I described my ultimate goal for the circular layers of H1Z1 Just Survive?
No,
we'll-
I was not.
We'll go over that. 5 minutes isn't enough time to go over it.
Yeah. What
He
is
wants
it?
to make a he wants to make a patchwork quilt
Yeah.
Patchwork
of like
quilt.
servers,
Plaid
like
Plaid?
sort of kind of like that.
with some shrubbery.
Essentially,
not too
you know
expensive.
the kind of the was it the tunnels at the edges of the maps and stuff that are blocked off and stuff. Like
Yeah.
wasn't it Eric that you kind of wanted to kind of string them together with those
Different maps.
different maps?
Yeah, you know what? I can't wait till they drop the Z2 on survival. I haven't played survival in a while, but I am just waiting because on King of the Kill, a lot of times I'll just get in there, get in a car, and literally just drive around the map, not even trying to kill people, just trying to like look at parts of the map and see where I would like to set up shop at when it drops on a survivor. I think that's going to be
It looks to
awesome.
be good.
Yeah.
It looks to be really cool, doesn't it?
We'll see when they do that.
I'm looking forward to it when they drop Z2.
Did you guys see the new crate coming out?
I
I've
didn't.
kind of seen a little bit of some. I've seen some of the.
There's like a Mexican one where he's like a full on suit and he has like a Day of the Dead mask and like all this
Oh
bedazzled.
yeah.
He has like a bedazzled thing going on. It's
A
pretty epic.
bedazzled thing going on.
Yeah. If you go to the Daybreak or the H1Z1 website and it's the new crate, I don't know, it's probably coming out next week or something. But I'm definitely gonna be trying to get that set up. I think it's pretty dope.
You like
It's pretty
that?
dope. I'm not sure whether I like the entire get up of it, but like the suit and the pants. Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I love the bedazzledness. I'm all into the bedazzle.
I'm always curious by people who want to buy a lot of these things in a game that they've already bought, right?
Right?
Yeah, the microtransaction model, man, it does work.
Yeah,
It does
dude.
work.
It does
I mean,
work, but I just
if you
It's like having a Ferrari in real life, you know? It's like, ooh, that guy's badass.
well, I'm like, I come
gotta
from the time
accessorize, man.
I come from that time in the games where you had to grind and grind and grind to get the rare loot drop, right? And that was the
Oh,
only
the rare
way to
items,
get
yeah.
things.
Yeah, it's a rare item.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are all cosmetic, man. It's not like there's it's not like there's a massive competitive.
Actually, the vehicle skins. So the way, real quick, I know you only got 120
2 minutes.
seconds, but the vehicle skins in H1Z1, right? The way you get those is by getting skulls. The way you get skulls is by playing a shitload of King of the Kill and basically getting up to the point where you can wager per round and then getting a bunch of skulls. So, that's like a big time grind because it's like you got to play a lot of matches
That
and
is
then,
a problem.
and then you can save up a bunch of skulls and then drop 10,000 skulls on a car skin. So I haven't seen any yet, but I did the calcs and I'm like, dude, that's like fucking.
I think I've seen one.
Oh, have
It
you
looked
seen
pretty
one?
awesome. I've
Yeah, it's
seen
probably-
one. I think.
Probably some like 19-year-old person who like doesn't have to work and saves at home all day.
I think
I
it
hate-
was some kind
I
of
hate
heavy,
my
heavy
life.
streamer.
I hate my life. I hate my life.
I think it was some guy who literally streams 24 hours a day.
I hate my life because I can't just play video games all day.
Yeah, I agree with you too.
Ah,
That would clearly be, should I hit the lottery, something that I would be doing a whole lot more of.
Dude, that'd be first on my bucket list. Playing video games for like 6 months.
Absolutely. Alrighty. So we are 1 minute away. I want to thank everybody who subscribed during the last hour, everybody who followed during the last hour. Caleb, I'm not playing Black Desert Online because I don't actually like to grind in games too much. But yeah. And Arenda said 10,000 skulls when all you need is a TMC skin knife. That's right. Or
Hell
machete.
yeah.
This is true.
That's right.
And a machete and a t-shirt and a helmet. That's all I need.
I'll tell you what,
I
we
would
would
say
raid.
that the machete still looks badass.
Yeah, when we would raid bases and just leave them with a packet of salt and a machete that couldn't melt.
Right.
That was badass. That was seriously badass.
That was the most fun. The fact
All
that
right.
it
Well,
wouldn't
might as well.
melt.
All right, we got to run. Next up is the Meta Show. Maybe it's the Meta Boat Show. I'm not sure what we got going on, but I'm going to be there listening, and you guys should all stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. We're out. Thanks, Space.